For years, we've all been told that the key to getting through tough times is resilience, the ability to bounce back. But here's a thought. What if just bouncing back isn't enough? What if it just puts you right back where you started? What if the biggest shocks and stressors in your life weren't actually obstacles to get through, but opportunities to become fundamentally stronger? That's the powerful idea we're diving into.
Okay, so usually when we think about dealing with stress, we have two models in our head. On one hand, you've got the fragile glass cup. The slightest shock comes along and boom, it shatters. On the other hand, there's the resilient rock. You can hit it and it just stays the same. It endures.
And for the longest time, the advice has always been, be the rock. Build your career, build your life to withstand anything. But let's be honest, in a world where chaos seems to be the new normal, just not breaking feels like a pretty outdated strategy. Simply surviving isn't really thriving, is it?
So that leads to the big question. If being the rock, if being resilient isn't the ultimate answer, then what is? If we're not supposed to just grit our teeth and endure everything life throws at us, is there another way? Well, the answer is a huge yes, and honestly, it changes everything. To really get this, we've got to look at a brilliant framework from the thinker Nassim Nicholas Taleb. He argues that things in this world don't just have two ways of responding to stress, but three. It's not just a choice between breaking or enduring. There is a third, totally revolutionary option.
So first up, we have the fragile. This is our glass cup. It loves calm, it loves predictability. Because any unexpected shock isn't just a minor setback. It could be total destruction. The only real strategy for something fragile is to just try and avoid stress at all costs. Next, we've got the robust, which is really just another word for what we call resilient. And this, of course, is our rock. It can take a hit, for sure. It can handle stress. But the key thing to remember is that it comes out the other side exactly the same. It hasn't grown, it hasn't changed, it's simply endured. And here's the absolute game changer. The third category, the anti-fragile. Think about this for a second. The true opposite of being fragile and breaking isn't just not breaking. The true opposite is actually benefiting from the shock. The anti-fragile doesn't just survive chaos, it literally feeds on it. Stress, randomness, and uncertainty are the things that make it stronger. And you know what? The best example of this is happening inside your own body. Just think about a vaccine. What is it? It's a tiny, controlled dose of a stressor. It doesn't weaken your immune system. It actually forces it to learn, adapt, and get stronger for the future. That is perfect anti-fragility in action. Stress is creating strength.
Laying it out like this just makes the difference so incredibly clear. The fragile is harmed by chaos, so its goal is to avoid stress. The robust resists it, so its goal is to endure stress. But then you look at the anti-fragile. It actually improves from chaos. Its goal isn't to avoid or endure, it's to seek the right kinds of stress. It just flips our entire relationship with challenges right on its head.
Okay, so this whole idea is incredible, right? But the real question is, how do we actually use it? How do we build lives, careers, and mindsets that are less like a glass cup and way more like an immune system? Well, let's get practical and break down 3 core strategies.
It really comes down to these 3 things. First, you've got to change how you think about failure. Learn to fall in love with small mistakes. Second, you have to intentionally create more options and pathways for yourself. And third, you need to actively embrace small, manageable stressors instead of constantly running from them.
Let's talk about creating those options. See, a fragile system has what you'd call a single point of failure. Think about it. One job, one major client, one key skill you rely on. If that one thing goes, everything collapses. But an anti-fragile system? It's all about diversification. It means having multiple income streams, a wide range of skills, a broad network. You have choices. So when one door closes, you've got 5 others just waiting to be opened. And that brings us right to that third strategy, embracing small stressors. Now, this is not about burning yourself out. No way. It's about controlled, intentional exposure to discomfort. Read a book that challenges you. Take on a project that stretches your abilities. Have a respectful debate with someone you disagree with. Every single one of these things acts like a mental vaccine, strengthening your mind and getting you ready for the really big shocks that life is eventually going to send your way. So when you put this all together, you can see it's more than just a tactic. It's a deep shift in your whole perspective. It's about completely changing your relationship with uncertainty, with volatility, with the great unknown. You stop seeing the storm as something to hide from. This one quote from Taleb just sums it up perfectly, doesn't it? The resilient resists shocks and stays the same. The anti-fragile gets better. The goal is no longer just to make it through a challenge and be unchanged. The new goal is to come out of that challenge a better, stronger, more capable version of yourself. I think the absolute best metaphor for this is a kite. I mean, a kite doesn't fly in spite of the wind, right? It flies because of the wind. It uses the very force that's pushing against it to soar higher. And that is the essence of an anti-fragile mindset, learning how to harness the energy of chaos itself to propel yourself forward.
So the final question is really for you to think about. In your life, in your work, how are you operating? Are you a glass cup, just hoping you can avoid the next big shock? Are you a rock, just trying to endure it, to get through it? Or are you ready to become something more? Are you ready to build a life that actually feeds on the storm and with every single challenge grows stronger, smarter, and more alive than ever before?